I'm Dee Dee Wills, and you're here for a Tuesday night plan with me session. So, as you can see, my green screen behind me is making my ponytail disappear, which makes me feel like maybe I have green in my ponytail. It's a very strange thing. But anyhow, just let me know hello, tell me how you are, tell me what's going on today for you. Let me know kind of what's happening in your neck of the woods. I can see some people hopping on now, so I'm super glad you're here. We're going to be talking about probably one of my most favorite books. It's called Otis. And if you know this book, let me know in the comments. I would love to see if it's a book that you're familiar with as well. I fell in love with this book. I was taught at a rural school, and look at my microphone's even disappearing. And we had a lot of farm area around us, so having a book that takes place, the setting is the farm, was something my students really loved. So again, this is the book Otis, and I'm going to see if I can hold it up. If that green screen becomes too distracting, we can go to a plan B. Look at that, so weird. Don't know why. Last week it seemed to work pretty good. But anyhow, this is Otis by Lauren Long. And I really, really love this book. I love that it's a message of kind of being a gentle friend. And Otis is just this older tractor on the farm, and he's friends with all the farm animals. And he becomes friends with this baby calf. And the baby calf, is sad from leaving his mother. So Otis kind of takes him under his wing. And then you don't know this book? Yay, Lee! You will love this book, Otis. So he takes this baby calf under his wing, and they become very, very close friends. And then the farmer, they play all different types of games. And then the farmer buys a brand new yellow tractor, which is going to disappear completely with my green screen. Not happy about this right now, y'all. So he buys this new tractor, and Otis is kind of put out to pasture, so to speak. So kind of sits out in the weeds, and he gets really sad until one day the calf wanders off, and he gets stuck in the mud pond, and everybody's trying to help the calf get out. But finally, Otis comes to the rescue. Like the fire department comes, everybody comes try to get the calf out of the mud pond, and Otis comes and gets the calf to kind of calm down, and they play ring around the roses, like follow the leader. And so he slowly walks around and around and makes the circle bigger and bigger until the calf is able to get out of the mud pond. So we really love this book, and you can see that's kind of an illustration of how that happens. So it's a really, really sweet book. I also have found that there is a lot of other books in the Otis series, and so I've linked those in the link up above. So if you need to find that, you can. Also in the link in the comments there, and I'll just go ahead and drop it in. Last week when I dropped the comments in, it didn't show in the Facebook group, but it maybe just showed on my Facebook page. But the lesson plans are there as well. So if you need to or would like to download these, what you'll find is some suggested activities. So for example, for Otis, right on here, I'll tell you what the 5 comprehension strategies are. So if you don't have our units, it's not a big deal. You can do it yourself. There's one where you make a prediction, a retell, you make connections, you talk about the characters, how they change from the beginning to the end, and then there's a spot for you to do the opinion. Our engaging readers kind of walk you through that, but if you don't have this particular unit, you can still do it the same way. You would just need to come up with the prompts, but all of the information is there. So go ahead, and if you want to tap onto that blog post, you'll find it. Here's an example of what the lesson plans will look like. So you have each day is kind of written out for you. Not kind of, it's totally written out for you. So we have it scripted. They're great if you have a substitute, if you need to leave lesson plans. Those are always great to have, so you can tell them exactly what to do for the comprehension. And then, of course, the vocabulary is something also I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about vocabulary. So one of the things that we want to make sure, regardless of whatever book it is that you're working on, you want to make sure you make time for vocabulary study. And so within kindergarten, Sometimes you'll find books that don't have a great, oh my gosh, my hair is like disappearing in the thing. It won't have a great opportunity. Let me go ahead and let me share my screen really quick and let's see if I can bring this blog post in. And maybe I can get rid of this green screen behind me because it's pretty distracting for me and I don't want it to be distracting for you. So let me edit that background. We're going to go ahead and go to the original. There's my green screen. I'm going to get rid of it. Probably the problem is that I don't have it all the way across, but I'm just going to go ahead and get rid of it because to me it's really distracting. And now it's just me. Easy breezy, right? So anyhow, so this is the book Otis, and what I wanted to show, I don't even know if I guess I don't have the vocabulary, a picture of the vocabulary here. I thought I did. But the two words that we use for Otis, one of them is bawled, BAWLED. So like it's crying really noisily in a noisy way. I do too, Donna. I love Otis. And so whenever you think about those tier 2 vocabulary words, you're going to want to think about something that, if it in and of itself isn't a big word, perhaps synonyms would be one that you could use. So for Otis, there's quite a few different vocabularies we could use. So bawled, BAWLED, is one of them. And so what we did for this vocabulary study, we suggested using other words for bawled, like blubber, sob, weep, wail, or howl. And then, of course, we want to go ahead and use it in a sentence as well, and encourage students to use it as well. The other word that we used was wandered, because that can be kind of a little bit confusing for students if they think wandered and wondered are the same word. We want to make sure that we are really specific on what that word is and what it means. So we're going to give examples of it or synonyms for it. So like words like roam or drift, stray, float, meander, stroll are words that we could show that would mean something similar. And then the antonyms, settled or stationary would be the opposite of wandered. So we want to make sure that we're giving students lots of opportunities to see the words and then also see them in context as well. So let's see. I wanted to show you the anchor chart that we have here is really talking about Otis and how he is different at the beginning, and how he changes kind of in the middle and how he is at the end. But what we really notice is that Otis is pretty consistent character. He's friendly. He likes to play and he's kind at the beginning. Kind of in the middle, we notice that he becomes lonely and sad. And then at the end, we show that he's more than just a kind friend. He's also brave and smart. So even though those character traits at the beginning and the end are desirable character traits, there are a slight shift. And so we're going to notice, one, how do we know that about him? And did the illustrator do it or did the author do it? And in this case, both books is both written and illustrated by the same person, Lauren Long. So kind of a good one. Also, I was noticing that Lauren Long has a bunch of, I think it's on Netflix. So there's a series as well for Otis on Netflix. So if you're not familiar with this book, I highly recommend it. Let's see, what else is in this blog post? There is a few examples of student work. Sometimes it's nice to be able to see what does it look like when students are doing the work. The biggest part of the work is happening through conversation. So we want to make sure that we have lots of opportunity for oral language. Here comes Harriet. And so that's part of it. But then we also ask students to make meaning known through their illustrations. And so here's a couple of examples where you can see student work. In kindergarten or even really in first grade, a lot of their meaning is going to take place through the illustrations they draw. So I wouldn't worry too much at the beginning of the year trying to get them to, write words and sounds, because really it's the thinking part that's the most important part of this comprehension lessons, is giving them an opportunity to converse with their partner and then also to share their thinking through illustration. So let them do that however they possibly can. It might just be through pictures. It might be through words. What else is in this blog post for you to look at? To remind you that there is the digital retail is there that you can use on a smart board, and then there's also the printable version, so you can move that around, whether you put it in a pocket chart or if you're using it on the smart board. And then, of course, the individual retail cards are there, and it's a great opportunity for you to actually add that to a student center activity if you wanted to. So if you wanted to put that as a student activity later, you could just put the book in that student activity with the retail cards, and they could just put those in order and practice retelling the story with their partner. That would be a great activity for students to do. So think about all that oral language. So that's something that you can do as well. Again, there's the anchor chart if it's helpful for you to see. We also talked about making connections in this book. So the idea of, the calf went off and got lost is something that's not hard for students to imagine, right? I know that I don't think there's a student around who hasn't wandered away from a parent at one point or another, even if it's just quickly. So it's an easy connection for students to make. And of course, we want to make those connections and something that's going to prompt them to be thinking about that with every book that they read, right? They want to either make a connection with, this reminds me of something that I've heard about, I've seen, or maybe something that's happened to me. So we want to make sure that we give students opportunities. Connection, something that we do a lot of in our reading series. And then, of course, the opinion is something that we ask them to do as well. So I like when Otis met the calf because Otis was nice. So I love that, ODIS. So letting them make an opinion is something we want. That it's another level of connection to the book or to whatever activity that they're working on. But we want them to, what is your favorite part? Or maybe the opinion could be, do you think it was a good idea for the farmer to get a different tractor? Why or why not? And let them have, some students might say, no, because Otis was a really nice tractor. And some students might say, well, the new tractor could do X, Y, Z, and Otis couldn't do that, but Otis was still important because you see how you can kind of open up that conversation. So even though I think we asked about the favorite part, you can ask lots of opinion questions and say, do you think that was a good idea? Or do you think, they should have called Otis first when the calf got stuck or something like that. So lots of opportunities for students to share their thinking. And of course, we want them to not just share their thinking, but also tell us why they feel the way that they do. We have our little craft, and I have it here in front of me as well. So this is Otis. And so one thing that I like to try to do whenever I can is when we have the craft to add an academic part of it. A craft for craft's sake is fun. However, if you could attach an academic activity to it and then place it out in the hall, now it becomes something that, your administration can walk by and say, oh, I can see the type of thinking that's happening here. For this particular one, I went ahead and put the sentence study on the top. So there are tractors on farms as a sentence study. And so what you can do with regardless of whatever activity you're doing, right, whatever book, you can take a sentence from that book, make a very simple sentence, and then ask them to identify certain parts of it. It might be the noun. Here comes Ozzy. It might be the vowel, the vowels, all the vowel sounds. You can do the capital letters. You can do the punctuation. So that's a great opportunity for you. Hey, buddy. He's like, why is this in here? This big green screen. He's not a fan. You're okay. You're okay. Let me move it, bud. So the other thing that you can do with this is you can put the retail on here as well, maybe on the top, maybe on the back. So if you have that student retail activity, I'll kind of go up a little bit so you can see what it looked like. It's right there with that purple screen. You can go ahead and add that retail to here. Maybe it doesn't fit. If it doesn't fit across the top, I'm pretty sure it would fit here. I didn't even try it. You could add a piece of paper across the bottom, and you can add it at the bottom. But adding that, it really helps justify why this activity took place in the first place. Because if an administration goes by and sees this, and I'm like, oh, that's cute. But if they see it with the academic attached to it, then it is something it's easy to justify why you're doing it, and really show them how deep these comprehension lessons can go. Let's see. I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to show you in this particular blog post. I think we're pretty, oh, we have the centers that go with it. And then I just wanted to show you all of these other Otis books that are out there. So if you really like this one, I noticed that in my classroom, I had a lot of students who maybe were really interested in, sometimes sometimes it was the boys, but I had some girls also who were very much interested in the 4-H and that sort of thing, or really interested in it. So making a basket of Otis books might not be a bad idea. So Otis and the Tornado is one that is precious. That the bull is kind of stubborn and he doesn't want to play with the other animals, and so when a tornado comes, Otis is brave and he goes and he saves. The bull is locked into his pen, so he can't go to safety. So he goes and saves Otis and the puppy, Otis and the kittens, Otis and the Scarecrow, and then an Otis Christmas. So there's quite a few different Otis books that are there, that are available. I know that there are even more. I think there are more like short chapter books. So if that's something that you're interested in, I know that you can find them. And then, of course, you can watch the videos as well that are out for Otis. I'm trying to think. There's the version of it. So if you, we always like to have a video version of the book, not because it takes the place of the book. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I'm always really clear on that. Most of the work that you're going to be doing with this book in your class is happening within the book. So like on the first day, you're going to read the book from cover to cover. On the second day, you'll probably read it from cover to cover. On day 3, you're just going to flip to the section and say, hey, remember when we read about blah, blah, blah? I want you to think about blah, 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 turn to your partner, right? So you're going to go to that section. And then the next day, Thursday, you're going to do the same thing. You're just going to hop over to that section and have that conversation. It's also a great time to do the vocabulary on those days because you're not reading the whole book. And then I also like to do on Friday, I love to have a different version of it. So having an audio version, somebody else's model of fluency, I think is really good. I myself am not as animated when it comes to reading a read aloud. Some of these other ones are really good. So if you find one, feel free to, share that. But again, you really can't do the comprehension work that you need to from a video. So again, I would save that video for the last day. Tell me how you guys are using, or if you're using a video, how are you using it in your lessons? Let me know how that's going with that. And then of course, here are those different retelling cards. So we went ahead and made them so that you can, hopefully you can see it. Students can put them on in order. And sequence that story for you. So it's a really, like I said, it's like one of my favorite books. So make sure that I can't remember if we updated this clip art. I don't feel like we did. I think this is from the original because I think I just liked it so much. So we don't think we changed too much of that. Also, if you are doing a farm book, there is a farm poem, Higgity Piggity Pop. The dog has eaten the mop. The pig's in a hurry. The cat's in a flurry. Higgity Piggity Pop. So that's a traditional one. And one of the things, I didn't put a picture of the poem in my blog post, but one of the things, let me see if I can, I'll see if I can bring up the picture of it so you guys can look at it. But one of the things that I like to do sometimes is offer phoneme manipulation in the poem that we do. So for this one, I got to find it real quick. Ugh. I don't see it right here. Higgity, where would Higgity Piggity Pop be? If I were a poem, where would I be? Well, let me go find it here. I know where I have it. It's just not particularly right there. Isn't it fun just listening to me say over and over again? You can hear my family in the background. We're eating dinner. Well, heck, I lied. I guess I don't have a picture of it. I swear I did. But what we do is we change it. So instead of Higgity Piggity Pop, we go Higgity Piggity Pake. The dog has eaten the cake. Higgity piggity pike. The dog has eaten the bike. So just that phony manipulation, listening for those different sounds. So that's part of that poem of the week. But you'll find a link to that in the unit, in these lesson plans. So I also wanted to mention that this is for week 6. So if you download, this is just a free thing, but if you download it, it'll say week 6 right here. And then when you go over to this part, it says start week 5. And you're probably, I explained this last week, but I just want to make sure I keep reminding people about this. So week 6 is, we're doing a review week for kindergarten. See if you can see that. For first grade, we're doing the short I, and for second grade, we're doing a silent E words. Okay, so those are the words that would be the phonics that we would be doing. But for the drills and the dictation and the high frequency words, we are going to start on week 5 of the ones that have the cover that look like that, right? The not your mother's sight words, because we don't want to be reviewing something that we haven't taught yet. So that's, again, what would be happening. Whole group would be 1 week behind the phonics instruction. So we'll be reviewing what we taught last week, this week. So that will be week 5. In Writer's Workshop, this is the second week of Unit 2. So for that, we're going to be talking, many lessons are going to be about making the story come alive. Again, how do we stretch out words to write more of the sounds that we hear in words? We're going to really talking about partner work. So how does your partner help you? How do you help your partner when it comes to Writer's Workshop? The other thing that we're going to be really doing is talking about rereading what we've already written. Okay, so the way that would look, let's just pretend that this is my modeled piece. Okay, so I would be like on Wednesday, I would say, okay, I'm ready to go ahead and start. Yesterday, I started my book. I'm ready to keep going. But I want to make sure I read what I've already written. And so you would, under your document camera, touch each word of what you've already written, because you want to make sure that you do that again and again and again to instill that behavior so that it becomes automatic for students, right? So one of the things that, sometimes we notice is that our kindergartners or our first graders or our second graders will just sit down at Writer's Workshop and just start writing without looking to see what they've read before. So we want to make sure that we model that every single time we sit down to write. So that's what that lesson's about, is modeling it, making it really explicit. And then on Friday, we have an illustrative study. So we're getting a book. I don't even remember what book it is. Let me look real quick in the lesson plans. Okay. So Red Rubber Boot Day is the book that we'll be looking at, and kind of noticing, this is the writing lesson plans, kind of what was happening with the illustrator and why the illustrator did what they did and how that helps us as a reader. So that's what we're going to be doing in Writer's Workshop. And then for math, we're doing a lot of composing and decomposing numbers. And I know it seems like you're like, okay, yeah, but we've been doing that. Yeah, it's true. We spent a lot of time talking about that. That's that whole number sense thing. So I'm looking in our writing on our math units. And so that would be up to day 10. So we could be using, we're going to be comparing objects, talking about fewer and lesser than. So composing and decomposing numbers, quickly show cards. So we'll be working on our fluency, and then really working on one-to-one correspondence and taking two numbers, putting them together. So it's kind of that before you get to addition kind of concept, composing and decomposing. We want to make sure that they understand that numbers can be put together and taken apart. So you'll be building certain numbers with snap cubes and then taking them apart to see, 4 and 7 make, or 4 and 3 make 7, or 5 and 2 make 7, and all the different combinations thereof. So that's really what we're going to be working on. And I think that about does it. I think that's about it. So let me know in the comments if you're finding that this is something that's helpful for you for your planning, or if there's something that I'm not showing you that you think you would like to see. So I wanted to show you how I have the units, the teacher manuals kind of organized. I just have them coil bound, right? So they're all coil bound, and then they're just in these little magazine holders. So, and then the student masters are kept in something that you can open it up and make copies of. But this is all the teacher things. So they're just coiled down together. So that's the math one. And then the writing one is like this. This is what the writing was. And then this is where all of the rubrics, I have all of the rubrics in here to kind of show you how I have those organized. Maybe you're like, I don't care, Dee Dee, but sometimes so I have like all of the black line masters together. And then I have the rubric. So the front of it is the rubric. And I have the kindergarten one and then the first grade one there. And then on the back is the parent letter that explains what they learned that month. So I found it's a lot easier to have them kept apart because, when you want to run them through the copy machine, it's a lot easier to have them together. So I just have them, these are all in like little page protectors. So here is the writing continuum. And then on the other side is the fix it up so that if I need to go make copies, I won't lose my original. How many of you like make a copy and then your original like disappears into your stack? And then pretty soon all you have is a copy of a copy of a copy and it looks really bad, especially if you have a copier that puts a line right through the middle. It used to make me crazy. So this way I can take them out, run them through the copier, and then put them right back in. So inside of here, this is for unit 1. Let me bring out the one for unit 2. So for like unit 2, it is helpful. I'm so glad, Leah. Thank you so much. For unit 2, if I were to pull them out of the sleeve, you would see the rubric for the emergent, that would be after kindergarten reader. The early writer, I have to lick my finger, would be for first grade. And then all of the pieces that you would use to make your writing goal charts are there as well. What I did for mine is I cut them out and I put them on a little cardstock background so that I could easily put them on and take them off. Once you've done it once, then you have it done for year after year after year. You don't have to recreate the chart. Are you guys familiar with what I'm talking about, the writing goal chart? So we have the writing goal chart. Well, let's say writing goals, and then there'll be little areas for you to put these cards on. And I just made the writing goal chart and laminated the title of it, but then didn't laminate anything else so that I could just use the same chart and just swap out the cards for each unit. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? You're probably like, no, Dee Dee, what are you talking about? Let me go see if I can find it quickly. If I can't, then I will bail out, but see if I have it. Sometimes I don't have it right handy. Right handy. I was looking. That was the writing goal chart, or the one of the writing center activities. I am right now. Oh, here we are. If you go to my blog, I have had some updates done, so it makes it a lot easier for you to find things. But here's where kind of that writing goal comes, the writing goal chart. Let's see if there's a picture of it. I did this blog post a while ago. Nope. You can kind of see it in the background. That's not it. Right there. So what it would have is this is writing goals across the top, and then these pictures are on the side, and then there's a spot for the post-it notes to go. And so you would laminate where it says writing goals to the anchor chart, but these would not be laminated to it. Yay! I'm so glad you fell into those. Yay! The upgrades to my blog. It's still not quite done. Because now that we have everything got like a spot for everything, I have to get everything kind of rearranged so that you can find them. But yeah, now if you go to where it says blog, you can pick like something that you would like to look at, and you'll be able to find things a lot easier. So like if I were to go to literacy, there's going to be a couple blog posts there for you. But if you want something more specific, you can find the science of reading or something on fluency, reading comprehension, poetry, blah, blah, blah. And then here's everything. And plus you can find all of the free files there as well. So just trying to get the information to you guys as easily as I possibly can. When you've been blogging for a long time, like I have, sometimes, when I started blogging in 2011, it's a lot easier. And now, I have like 500, I have like 500 blog posts. I have more than 500 blog posts, but getting them kind of categorized so they're easy to find is something that I'm working on. RP, you are listening on YouTube. I'm so glad you're here. Very helpful, but gosh, your first year teaching, she said she's so bad. I'm sure you are not bad. I am sure you are doing your best. And I'm sure your first year teaching looks way better than my first year teaching. So give yourself some grace. This is a hard year to, I know last year was hard, but it's a lot harder, I think, to teach in 2022 than it was in 2018, right? So give yourself some grace. One of the things that I always kind of suggested for people is when you are starting out, you want to try to do all the things, right? You want to try to do everything. And what you can fall into the trap of trying to do everything and just kind of skimming the surface. But what I think is and that's what you have to do to survive. You're going to have to just do your best, right? But take one area of your instruction, whether maybe it's your math workshop, maybe it's your writer's workshop, maybe it's your reading comprehension, maybe it's your phonics. Take one area and decide to really perfect that during one quarter. So you're going to say, okay, I would imagine your first quarter is about classroom management, right? You're like, how am I going to get all these little things to do what I want them to do, right? So your first quarter is probably just managing your classroom and making sure that, you've got your behaviors, checked and things are starting to work in the right direction. You have your procedures in place, right? Then maybe your second quarter, you decide, I'm going to really focus in on what I'm doing as an instructor in this discipline. So maybe it's phonics, maybe it's science of reading, something like that. Don't get it too big. Just try to make those routines so that you build that habit around that particular type of instruction. And maybe you look for articles that you can read that's going to help you become better. Maybe you're reading a professional study book that's helping you become better in that one particular area. Then when you come back from Christmas, pick something else, right? Pick something else that you can work on. It might be in addition to, depending on what your subject is. If you say ELA, that's like massive, right? That's massive and overwhelming. But instead, just say, okay, well, I've gotten the phonics down, but now I really want to work on phonemic awareness, or maybe I really want to work on writer's workshop, or maybe, right? Pick one. And I've been around for a while and I learn a lot. I love to learn. I'd love to study. But if I can give you an example for me, running an online business is not the same as, any other thing. I mean, it's not like teaching, right? It's not like teaching, running an online business. And so I can easily fall down a rabbit hole of, I need to learn about this. I need to learn about that. I need to learn about, and all of a sudden I'm not doing anything well. And I just feel overwhelmed, right? So I would just say, pick that one area, give yourself grace on the others to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to do my best I can over there, but this is where I'm going to become really, really good at it. Leah, you said you've been saying that to teachers that you've been mentoring this year. Yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot. I mean, it's not like we're teaching history in high school, right? We have all the subjects. And so some of those subjects we might be really good at. Some of those may not interest us at all. So yeah, you just pick one thing that you can work on. I really went instead of doing it by quarter, I did it by semester. So one semester I really focused on this particular thing. And then the next semester I just focused on something else. Trying to keep what I had already had going, continuing, and then working on something else. So hopefully that's helpful. But you don't have to do everything. You're not Superman. You have, when you're a new teacher, believing that it's going to take 2 or 3 years for you to get your classroom running well, right? So that you have your classroom management under control, all of that, right? And then as you continue on, hopefully you're going to continue to grow as a professional in the classroom, right? So you're going to learn more about what best practices look like around each discipline. Yeah, RP, you cannot perfect everything. I mean, oof, even even seasoned teachers coming back after the pandemic, we're kind of having to take a step back and say, okay, this is what this looks like now. I need to kind of back up, and you got to go slow so that you can go fast. So don't try to do everything, and don't compare yourself to the other people because it really is. When you get on Pinterest or when you get on Instagram, you're seeing everybody's highlight reel. Okay, just so you know. So don't look at classrooms that are spotless. That's not real. Most people don't have that. So, you know, give yourself grace and also know that, you just do the best that you can. And the only thing that I would say is make sure that you are committed to growing year over year. That's it. I've been teaching, Leah says, Leah, you totally read my mind. She said, you're 42 and she's still learning and growing. That's exactly it. Every single year, you're going to have an opportunity to be better at your craft, which is kind of cool. It's kind of amazing. So you will look back as I did my first year and go, whoo, what was I doing over there? But you just get better. So most important thing is love on those kids, right? Enjoy your time. Realize that you're here for a long time, right? We need teachers who are going to stay around for a long time and can ride the ups and downs until you get, your craft perfected. So give yourself some grace for that. All right. I don't know if you guys have any other questions. I will be back next week. Next week, we're going to be talking about, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Creepy Crayon. So I'm really excited about that. So I think next week is Creepy Crayon. Yeah, next week is Creepy Crayon. I also wanted to mention I am going to be sending out notices on a new webinar coming up. It's going to take place the week of the 26th. And the last thing I wanted to tell you is I don't know if I have it here yet. Let me look, see if I can bring it up. If you read my newsletter, you saw that we have something coming up. There it is. Educator Summit 2023 is right around the corner. So we're going to be opening registration soon. Keep an eye out for that. It's going to open up on the 15th. So you will want to make sure that you keep an eye out for that so you can get the best price. We do not have as many presenters for this one as we had for the summer because we realize that your winter time is not as open as your summertime, right? So we'll have 20 different sessions that are going to be available to you. Wiley Blevins is coming back. He's going to talk about decodable books. We also have a great keynote, Trevor Muir, who is going to be talking about being the epic classroom. He's wonderful. Wiley Blevins is going to talk about that. And then, of course, some of your favorite keynote speakers are going to be there as well. So stay tuned for that. You may want to have a little reminder so that you don't miss the early bird ticket. The winter one, again, the price isn't going to be as high as it was this summer because there's not as much content. But the entry price is going to be pretty low. So that's pretty cool. You'll be able to get over 20 hours worth of PD for a really, really low price. And again, we'll have a lot of the same presenters we had over the summer, but we also have some fresh new people. So that's exciting as well. So really, really excited about the Summer Educator Summit. I'm excited about the summer one, but the winter 2023, I'm really, really excited about. So keep an eye out and we'll be sending out notification on that really, really soon. I know, Wiley, I seriously feel like we could be best friends. Like if he knew me, we would be best friends. I know we would be. I love talking or hearing him. I reached out to him and asked him if he would, and like in a minute he sent back, absolutely. So that just tells me he's our people. He loves educators, and I think he really, really enjoyed our summer one. Although, gosh, he had a lot to say. So I'm really, really excited about the winter one. He's going to talk about decodable texts and He's kindofthebomb.com. So I'm excited about that. Okay. That was a lot. If you are not currently on my email list, make sure you go over to my blog, mrswillskindergarten.com, and sign up so that you can get all of the good deals. We've been sending out free files every week, so you'll definitely want to be getting that. So that's all I'm going to say about that. And I will talk to you guys next week. Okay. You guys have a great week, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.